Hey class, today we're going to be talking about how to write equations of functions from word problems. So remember, the initial or starting value of a function is the y-intercept. It's represented by the letter b. Remember, we write our equations as y equals mx plus b. So let's try example 1. Let's read it together. A football club is hiring a painter to paint a mural on the concession stand wall. The painter charges an initial fee of $25 an hour. After 12 hours of work, the football club owed $350. Assume the relationship is linear. Find and interpret the rate of change and initial value. So since the painter charges $25 an hour, we can see that right there, the rate of change is 25. Remember, the rate of change is just another way of saying the slope. To find the initial value, use slope-intercept form to find the y-intercept. So first we need to write the equation. So we can start off with y equals mx plus b. And because we know rate of change is just another way of saying slope, we can substitute the slope 25 for m, where we get y equals 25x plus b. Next, we're going to substitute the x and y values. It said after 12 hours of work, the football club owed $350. So we know y can be 350, and it'll equal 25 times the 12 hours plus b, because we still don't know our initial value. So next, we're just going to solve the equation for b. So we're going to first multiply 25 by 12 and get 300. And then we're going to subtract 300 from both sides of the equation. So 300 minus 300 is 0, and 350 minus 300 is 50. And we're left with 50 equals b. So we found the initial value. $50 is the initial value. And then we can write our equation as y equals 25x plus 50. And that's all there is to it. Let's try another example. While hiking, Devin's altitude rose 100 feet for every hour. After 3 hours of hiking, his altitude was 495 feet. Assume the relationship is linear. Find the rate of change and initial value. Then write the equation. So, we first need to identify what the slope is, what the rate of change is. So it says 100 feet for every hour. Because it says for every hour, that's 100 feet per hour, or for each hour, we know that is our slope, or our m value. So we're going to start with y equals mx plus b. And then we know we can replace 100 for m, so y equals 100x plus b. And then we need to take our x and y value and plug them into the equation to solve for b. So it says after 3 hours. Well, we know that the number of hours is going to tell us what his altitude is. All right, the altitude is dependent on the number of hours. So 3 hours is x, and 495 feet is y. So we can plug that into the equation. So it would be 495 equals 100 times 3 plus b. So now we multiply 3 times 100 and get 300. And then we subtract 300 from both sides. 300 minus 300 is 0, and 495 minus 300 is 195. All right, so all we're left with is 195 equals b. So there's our initial value. Then we can go ahead and write our equation. Y equals 100x plus our initial value of 195. All right, let's try one more. A frozen dessert was placed in a freezer. Each hour, the temperature dropped 13 degrees. 3 hours later, the temperature was 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Assume the relationship is linear. Find the rate of change and initial value, then write the equation. All right, so our first step is to find the rate of change. It says each hour, the temperature dropped 13 degrees. So that word each tells us that the 13 degrees is going to be our slope. our M value. So M equals negative 13 because we're dropping 13 hours. Okay, next we have to identify our X and our Y. Well, the 3 hours later is going to tell us what the temperature is. Our temperature is dependent on how much time has gone by. So our X value is going to be 3, and our Y value is going to be 32, the temperature. So then we can plug in our X and our Y and get 32 equals negative 13 times 3 plus B. So negative 13 times 3 is negative 39, and we're going to subtract negative 39. We're going to subtract negative 39 or add 39 to both sides of the equation. When we do that, we're left with 71 equals B. So there's our initial value. Then we can go ahead and write our equation because we know the rate of change and the initial value. Y equals negative 13x plus 71. All right, one thing important with this problem is to make sure to realize where it says dropped, that means negative. So be on the lookout for those keywords that may tell you that the rate of change is negative and not positive. All right, now go ahead and try number 4 by yourself before coming to math workshop.